Well, hello and welcome to ILoveGay today. And we're in the world of travel, but in a really fun side of travel, because we are here with Ernest White II, storyteller, explorer, and connector of people. How are you?
I'm doing well, Matt. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Oh, me too. I stole that from your Twitter profile. It's
You did, but it sounds so good when you say it. So thank you.
from as I've come to know you over the last few years, specifically just through social. This is our first time to really connect virtually, but somewhat
Sure.
real. And but I feel like I've come to know you through so many of your social media posts that you do so well.
I appreciate that, man. I mean, obviously social media is not a diary. It's
No.
a highlight reel, but at the same time, we try to be, or I try to be as authentic as possible.
Yeah.
And if I don't really have anything to say, I just try to remain quiet until I do have something to say that speaks to what an awareness or an understanding I'm experiencing at the moment.
That's very well said, and I wish others would take that to heart a little bit more. But that's all
Thank
I will
you.
say. But no, what's amazing is that especially in our world where we have quite a number of LGBT travel influencers that are out there focused on Instagram and TikTok and so forth. But you've kind of gone in a different direction, and you've got a show, Fly Brother, going into season two. But you kind of bypassed a lot of that, and you're on PBS and Revry TV.
It's true. I'm smiling because some of that has to do with just age and the fact that I'm a Gen Xer and I'm like, look, all this talk tick and all this other foolishness y'all got going on.
Yeah.
I have I've struggled, to be honest with you, to stay relevant on social media in a lot of ways. But I am a lover of stories, but I'm also a lover of longer stories, longer than what you can normally get in the average social media kind of interaction. And so
Yeah.
television works as a with the docu-series right now on PBS, which is dear to my heart as an educator, the son of educators. I mean, I learned so much about myself and the world watching PBS as a kid. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a privilege and an honor to have found a home there for my travel series, and obviously also pairing up with partnering with Revry
Yeah.
to reach our fellow LGBTQ audience members. But yeah, I think it's just the opportunity presented itself. I started off as a traditional journalist in print media. I kept a blog, and a buddy of mine from college was affiliated with a small startup cable network, and he was the one that suggested I start doing a TV series. And I was like, no, television, I write literature. And and yet here we are.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's done well for you. I mean, I love that you've been all over the world. But what's interesting, I mean, you're from Jacksonville, Florida, because I
That's right.
did my homework. Um,
I'm not ashamed.
but you have lived all over the world. I mean, you've lived in Colombia, Brazil, and a whole host of other places.
Yes, I've also lived in Germany and South Africa and now Canada. And
Yeah,
even in the US, I've lived in Miami, Washington, D.C., San Francisco.
yeah,
So I've been really blessed to have experienced a lot of phenomenal world cultures, to the opportunities to really engage with people across background and boundary. But one thing that I've always been able to take with me is that good Southern upbringing of
yeah.
being polite, of being respectful, of speaking to people and saying good morning and how are you, and all of those things that I've brought with me, some of which were beaten into me growing up in Jacksonville. But I really do appreciate the upbringing that I received there and how it really made me, prepared me for the world.
Yeah, yeah. But no, you tied that. You've kind of, it seems to me that from the outside looking in, you brought a lot of that life experience into the show itself, and some of the places and experiences that you've brought to the show.
Well, I think, as I said earlier, it's all about authenticity. And when we first initially envisioned the show, it was like, what would be the niche, or not niche, but theme, so to speak, of a travel series? And, Bourdain at the time, bless him, was killing it on the food side. And I'm not really a foodie. I mean, I eat quite a lot, but I'm not going to sit there take pictures of it. And so, so that was, that wasn't necessarily authentic. It was like, what about my travels would be authentic to communicate to the audience? And for me, it was friendship and connection. It was the fact that I could go to these different places, be open and permeable, engage with people, meet people, build a global community of friends, and have them right here in my phone, be able to access people. The technology allows us to stay in contact, to stay in connection. And so that's what I want people to experience when they watch, not only when they watch the show, but when they're out and about themselves, when they travel, to really recognize that you can even travel alone, but you're not alone, because there's so many people around you just waiting to be friends, lovers, business partners, whatever.
Yeah. No, and it's interesting, especially with the merging of the real world and technology too. Whether it's apps that tell you who's physically around you, or just the fact that we're collaborating so much more on social media as well.
Absolutely.
And even though at the beginning you said you may not feel as adept in social media as some of the younger folks, but I would beg to differ. I think you do very well in terms of really kind of getting that story out there in a way that you utilize all the, whether it's video, whether it's photos and text, you put it all together nicely.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Matt. And honestly, I think it does speak to my love of storytelling, the fact that is really in all the different media, anything from the written word to a beautifully composed photograph to a wonderfully composed song. All of it is about, to me, the romance of life. It's what we're here for, to engage with each other in beauty and in love, and story does that. So in as many ways as I can get it in, I suppose I'm trying to do that.
Well, I saw you recently too. I was just picked up I was with Vacationer magazine folks. They did their launch last month here in New York.
Yes.
And I'm looking in the magazine. I'm like, wait a second. I think I know this guy.
Yes, I am very good friends with Quinn Mosby, who's the editor-in-chief of Vacationer. And, he always looked after me when I was a young budding freelance journalist, and was generally had an assignment for me. And so it was only natural that when he kind of engaged with his community about helping to really tell these stories for Vacationer, I was like, sure, man, like what, and he asked me to pen an essay about my own personal experiences as a youngin' and vis-a-vis travel. And I did. And I'm honored and privileged to be featured in the first edition of the magazine.
No, I'm glad you did, because I enjoyed reading it. So no, I thought you did very well with that.
Thank you.
But kind of rounding it out though, because in addition, you also have your own film and studio or production company, Presidio Pictures.
Yes, named for the beautiful Presidio of San Francisco, which is just a forest of magic and of opportunity and love. And it's based in San Francisco and in Vancouver, where I live now. And the focus is on BIPOC, LGBTQ+, and over 60 senior elder narratives, which are all voices that have always existed, but just haven't had the kind of amplification that they deserve. And so our focus with our film and television projects is on, ensuring that people feel empowered and entertained at the same time, intelligently and enjoyably. So, not a small task, but an important one.
Yeah, I love it. So like I said, I'm really happy to be connected to you here this way, as opposed to, how we've stayed in touch through social.
Sure.
But in the meantime, no, I'm just very much looking forward to being able to see the season 2 that you've got coming up here soon. And when does that come out? When is that releasing?
Season 2 of Fly Brother with Ernest White II debuts on public television stations all around the United States in January of 2022. We don't have the exact date just yet, because often they may air in different cities at different times, but you can always find out more by signing up for our mailing list at flybrother.com.
Perfect. And I'm going to make sure there's links to all this and when we post, especially on YouTube. But no, mostly just thank you so much for, taking a few moments of your time and sharing some of your story. And like I said, look forward to not only watching it, but also connecting in the real world soon.
Thank you so much, Matt. I appreciate you, and I appreciate everyone who's watching this. Thanks you guys.
Take care now.
Beijo.